In this video, we're going to look at one player every Premier League club should sign in the January transfer window. And I'm going to be talking about every single Premier League team. And I'm going to suggest a player that your club should sign right now. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. We're going to start off with Arsenal, and Arsenal could do with the signing of Nuri. During the Christmas periods, the Gunners were top of the table. They still are. But in order to keep Manchester City behind them, they will need to strengthen their team. So making Nuri their top target this January would be a great addition to the Arsenal team. His contract is running out this summer with Leicester City, so he could be bought for a cheap price. The club already linked with him last summer, but they didn't sign him. But in my opinion, they could do with a player like Tielemans, and especially for the price they can get him for right now, this is a no-brainer. We're going to look at Aston Villa, and they should sign Samuel Chukwueze from Villarreal. Aston Villa had a disappointing start to the season, and that's why they replaced their manager Steven Gerrard with Unai Emery. Emery was the manager of Villarreal, and under Villarreal, Chukwueze was absolutely insane. But Emery knows how to work with the Nigerian winger. He will add a lot of pace and directness to the right-hand side, as Emiliano Buendia and Leon Bailey failed to make a real impact. So for Emery, it might be good to look at a familiar face to help Aston Villa. Bournemouth might be looking at signing Michael Keane, because right now Bournemouth have the worst defensive record in the league after conceding 32 goals in 15 games, of course at the time of recording. They've also only won one of their last 6 games, so right now stuff is not really looking good for Bournemouth, especially defensively. This season, Keane fell out of favor at Goodison Park, as he has only made 1 appearance for Everton this season, but still he's a great defender, and it would definitely help Bournemouth a lot to sign him. For Brentford, it might be good to sign Alexander Ba. For Brentford, their first half of the season has been a big success, as they're doing really well right now in the Premier League. And of course, the Bees have a strong Danish contingent at the club, so that's why I have a feeling that Benfica fullback Alexander Ba will settle in pretty quickly at the club. Brentford have struggled for depth at the right back position this season, so Ba would clearly solve that problem. And the 24-year-old has also impressed at the Champions League, so he will definitely do a great job in the Premier League if you ask me. Brighton and Hove Albion, of course, they're doing really well this season, but I think that Terem Moffi could be a great addition to the club. Like I said before, Brighton have had a brilliant first half of the season. Right now, it's actually a possibility that Brighton might get European football next season, but Brighton could definitely still strengthen their attack, with Danny Welbeck and Alexis McAllister needing extra support. Terem Moffi right now is one of the best players in Ligue 1. He scored 10 goals in 14 games this season, and at the age of 23, this would be exactly the signing that Brighton would make. And judging from their recent business, I think that this would be a success as well. It's time to move on to Chelsea, and they could do with the signing of João Felix. Recently, João Felix said that he was looking at other options, because as we all know, Felix is very talented, but at Atletico Madrid, it's not really working out for him because the system is just not for him. João Felix would definitely be an expensive player, but Todd Boehly already showed that he's not scared of spending a lot of money on a player. Right now, Chelsea need reinforcements up front, and Kunku will be arriving in the summer, but until then, they still need to improve the squad, and João Felix will be a great addition for Chelsea. For Crystal Palace, it might be a good idea to reunite with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The right back now is falling out of favor at Old Trafford, and while Crystal Palace are well equipped in most areas of the pitch, at the moment they're struggling at the right back position. So of course, bringing back Wan-Bissaka would be great for Crystal Palace, because of course his move at Manchester United didn't really work out. I still think that Wan-Bissaka is a great player for the Premier League. Bringing in a familiar name from Wan-Bissaka, also going back to a familiar club, might be the best to reignite his career. Now it's time to talk about Everton, and they should bring in Noah Lang if you ask me. Everton right now have the 3rd worst record in terms of goals scored in the Premier League, so they definitely need some flair up front, and with Noah Lang you are definitely going to get a lot of flair on the pitch. The Ajax Academy graduate is currently playing for Club Brugge, and where this season things aren't really going that well for Noah Lang, he already showed that he's a great player, and I have a feeling that he would be a great addition for one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. Now it's time to talk about Fulham, and I think that they should sign Anel Ahmedhodzic. Forgive me if I completely butchered that name. Again, Fulham enjoyed a pretty good start to the season, and of course Alexander Mitrovic is doing really well with 9 goals in 12 games, so of course they don't need a striker right now, but they could strengthen in the rest of the team. And signing Ahmedhodzic might be a great move for their future. The centre back has been really good for Sheffield United, as he's very solid in defense, but he also registered 4 goals and 2 assists so far this season. So because of that, it might be actually worth to take a punt on this guy, and with Leicester City also interested in the player, they might need to act quick to sign the player up. Leeds United could do with another centre back, so signing Milos Kerkez from AZ Alkmaar could help the club out massively. So far it has been a pretty mixed bag for Leeds fans this season, and right now Leeds aren't really that far off from the relegation zone, with only 2 points ahead of Everton. So signing a quality defender would be very much needed for Leeds, and that's why I think Milos Kerkez could be a great addition. He has been great for AZ Alkmaar this season in the Eredivisie. He's only 19 years old, a big prospect, so I think that this would definitely work for Leeds. I think that Leicester City should sign Ismail Assar. In recent years, Leicester City have been been great at selling big assets and replacing them with young players that would turn into stars themselves. They replace Harry Maguire, Danny Drinkwater and Ben Chilwell, all with players who are doing really well right now, but one player that they failed to replace is Riyad Mahrez. Leicester City might need to make another signing in order to try to replace Riyad Mahrez, and that's why I think that Ismail Assar could be a great addition to the club. Watford will of course be reluctant to sell, but let's be honest, Assar is way too good for the Championship, and for him personally a move to the Premier League would be a very appealing option. Liverpool need to sign a midfielder, and that's why they should go for Enzo Fernandez. The club is of course looking to sign Bellingham, but that will be a very pricey transfer, and Real Madrid are also linked with the player, so of course it's not certain that they're going to sign Bellingham. But in my opinion, the second best option should be Enzo Fernandez. Right now Chelsea is also pushing to sign the player, so they need to be very quick if they want to get Enzo Fernandez to the club, but in my opinion this would be a no-brainer. They need to strengthen in midfield. Of course Bellingham would be a great option, but if they cannot sign him, I think that Enzo Fernandez is the second best option, and definitely not a bad one if you ask me. Now it's time to talk about Manchester City, and let's be real, they really don't need to sign another player. Their squad is already very stacked, but since we're making this video, of course I'm going to give a suggestion, and this is going to be a surprising one because I think that they should sign Kyle Walker-Peters, and this is mainly because they have one problem area, and that is at fullback. Last summer they tried signing Marco Correa to fix that, but of course he went to Stamford Bridge. Of course they still need to get another fullback in. Rico Lewis has been doing really well these last couple of games, but City need to fix their squad depth right now. So signing Kyle Walker-Peters, if you ask me, is not that bad of an option. Manchester United need a striker after Cristiano Ronaldo left, so if you ask me, signing Gonzalo Ramos would be the most sensible option for the club. Ramos made a big impression at the World Cup, and he's also killing it for Benfica right now. It already says a lot that Benfica were willing to sell Darwin Núñez to Liverpool because they knew that they still had Gonzalo Ramos, and as cocky as it sounds, they actually believed that Ramos was the better striker, and this way Manchester United could replace one Portuguese for another and just hope for the best. But one thing is certain, Gonzalo Ramos is a great striker. Newcastle United could go for Moises Caicedo this January. Newcastle so far already signed a lot of top quality talent. Brighton star is currently having his breakout season, so especially long term it would make a lot of sense for the Magpies to sign Moises Caicedo. He could be the engine of the midfield at Newcastle, helping his teammates to be even better. So signing him could actually be the missing piece of the puzzle. Nottingham Forest could look into signing Abdoulaye Doucouré. It's very strange saying that Nottingham Forest need to sign another player after they broke the British record last summer of signing 21 players, but this showed that signing a lot of players doesn't necessarily mean that you will do well, because so far many of those signings have not been a big success. Doucouré has fallen out of favor at Merseyside, so he will definitely help the midfield of Nottingham Forest to a higher standard, because Doucouré definitely isn't a bad player. Southampton should look into signing Greg Dawson. Right now, at the time of recording, the Saints have been winless in 5 games, so some new energy in the team could definitely be needed, especially since relegation has now become a real threat for Southampton. Greg Dawson has fallen down the pecking order at West Ham, but he's still a great defender and brings a lot of experience, so signing Dawson would be great for Southampton if they want to turn it around this season. Tottenham Hotspur should go for Soufiane Amrabat. They were already linked with the player last summer, but eventually didn't sign him, and that might have been a costly mistake because he had a great World Cup, and last summer they were trying to sign him for 20 million euros, but I think that right now after the tournament he had, they probably need to fork out double in order to sign Amrabat. Antonio Conte is demanding some extra signings for the club, and a ball-winning midfielder like Soufiane Amrabat could be a great player that will perfectly fit into Antonio Conte's system. West Ham should look into signing Mohamed Kudus. The Ajax star is currently linked with big Premier League clubs like Manchester United and Liverpool, but West Ham could probably do more with the arrival of Kudus. West Ham is one of the lowest scoring clubs in the Premier League, and this season Kudus showed that he's definitely capable of getting a goal here and there while adding a lot of flair to the attack. And right now Kudus just needs game time, so signing for West Ham might actually not be that bad both for club and player. Wolverhampton could look into signing Youssouf El Nassiri. Okay guys, don't get angry at me that I haven't picked a Portuguese player, because I think that Youssouf El Nassiri, a Moroccan player, not a Portuguese player, could be great for Wolverhampton as they're still looking for a striker. They signed Diego Costa on a free transfer, but I don't know if it will be enough for the club. So signing El Nassiri from Sevilla could be great for Wolves, because during the World Cup he showed that he's a very versatile striker that might make an impact in the Premier League. So guys, that's the video done. Let me know in the comments down below which of these transfers would you actually see happening, and which player do you want your club to sign this January window. As always, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, click my videos on the end screen right now, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.